Every modern business is trapped in a structural conflict. On one side, leaders must enforce standard procedures to maximize current profits. On the other, they must find the freedom to dismantle that business model and invent a new one before a competitor does it. This first drive is exploitation. It relies on refinement, efficiency, and the execution of proven methods. You eliminate errors and stick to the plan, because in a stable market, routine generates reliable revenue. But when the market shifts, routine becomes a liability. Survival then requires exploration, the search, risk-taking, and experimentation needed to discover what's next. The core paradox is that these two needs are the antithesis of one another. The traits that make a company profitable today, precision and predictability, actively suffocate the messy, unorganized thinking required to survive tomorrow. Most companies fail because they treat these as a zero-sum game. They choose efficiency over innovation, only to find themselves perfectly optimized for a market that no longer exists. Business researcher Jim Collins describes this decline as the entrepreneurial death spiral. It's a pattern where a company's initial success actually engineers its eventual destruction. Every startup begins with a burst of rule-breaking creativity and visionary zeal. They are unorganized, fast, and entirely focused on the breakthrough. But as the company grows, that lack of structure creates friction. Orders are missed and schedules slip. Fearing the chaos, the board demands professional management, a layer of executives who introduce standardized forms and rigid hierarchies to bring order. The bureaucracy successfully reins in the mess, but it also drives away the visionary talent that built the company. They are replaced by a cancer of mediocrity, people who are excellent at following rules, but incapable of original thought. Bureaucracy is usually a mechanism to compensate for incompetence and a lack of self-discipline. By trying to fix the people problem with a rulebook, the company accidentally kills its ability to adapt. The solution is organizational ambidexterity. This is the capability to simultaneously exploit current assets while exploring new ones, maintaining the tension between the two rather than alternating between them. To do this, we have to stop viewing creativity as a burst of random inspiration and start treating it as an engineered system. When Apple developed the original iPhone, it wasn't a product of chaotic brainstorming, it was a product of absolute constraints. Jobs dictated a touchscreen with 0 physical buttons, forcing the team to find a solution within a very narrow box. This is the first phase of a creative system, structure. You establish a rigid workflow backbone, defining exact problems and constraints. Those walls create space for exploration. Within strict boundaries, teams safely experiment and fail without losing sight of the strategic target. The system then moves through reflection, checking ideas against habit or intention. Validation tests feasibility and user needs, and finally evolution, where the breakthrough is documented and integrated back into the workflow. This framework provides the leverage required to turn a raw idea into a repeatable, scalable result. It ensures that innovation is a deliberate output, not a lucky accident. Even the most sophisticated framework will ultimately fail if the people inside it are too afraid to move. This is due to interpersonal risk. As humans, we are naturally reluctant to engage in behaviors that might make us look ignorant, incompetent, or disruptive in front of our peers. Unfortunately, the core behaviors of innovation, asking dumb questions, admitting a mistake, or pitching a wacky idea, directly trigger these fears. When the risk of looking stupid is high, people stay silent. Harvard's Amy Edmondson found we all perform a tacit calculus. Before speaking, we ask, if I do this, will I be criticized? Psychological safety is the belief you won't be penalized for that risk. It's a climate focused on shared goals, not self-protection. Without this safety, an ambidextrous organization is just a theory. You cannot manufacture breakthroughs if the human components are terrified to share the very data you need to learn. To thrive, an organization must coordinate two opposing systems, a relentless culture of discipline and a fearless ethic of entrepreneurship. A leader's role is to manage this pulse, switching between opening behaviors to foster exploration and closing behaviors to monitor routines and hit deadlines. We usually think of organizational structure as a set of rules to manage the wrong people on the bus, compensating for a lack of discipline or competence. But if you hire inherently self-disciplined people, bureaucracy becomes obsolete. Formal rules are replaced by self-regulation, allowing the organization to move without the friction of constant approval layers. Long-term performance is the result of managing the fierce, constant tension between these two signals. It requires precise coordination of operational perfection and uninhibited exploration.